Hello everyone, this is Darren from Team Evan Reverse coming you with a Drajeweled deck profile. So with the set 10 just being released this past Friday, we're able to come with you guys with the new deck list. For Drajeweled Masque, those who are curious for ratios and figure out the proper numbers and everything like that, I've come to give you my variation of Drajeweled. So let's just jump straight to it with the ride line. Obviously, we have Julius Draco Kid, great card. We have Jewel Core, which is a great grade 1. When it attacks on rearguard circle or boost, gains 5,000, so it becomes a 13k swinger. But at the end of the battle, he goes back into Soul when ridden upon by Jewel Neil, which is the grade 2 right here. He gets to call himself out to a rearguard circle, which is great because it allows you to either apply pressure onto the opponent's vanguard by calling him into an attacking rearguard circle, Jewel Core of course becoming a 13k swinger, to either their 8k or their 10k vanguard, regardless. Or you can call it behind Jewel Neil, which is an alternative method, because Jewel Neil has the effect on vanguard circle or rearguard circle. When the attack hits a vanguard, soul charge 1, which is nice because obviously we want that nice different grades in the soul for the effects. So you can either swing with the 10k and hopefully they let you hit, or you just apply Jewel Core behind him, becoming a 23k swinging vanguard. But when your Jewel rides on Jewel Neil, you get to soul charge 1, and if your soul has 3 or more different grades, you get to draw 1, which is nice because you already have the 0, 1, and 2, including himself. You get to draw an extra card. Now we have our star, Drajeweled himself. So this is the regular Drajeweled. Counterblast 1, activate skill. You get to soul charge 2. If you soul charge 2 cards with different grades in it, you get to draw 1, which is a nice little effect. All we care about mainly is getting 4 different grades into our soul for that nice effect to set your opponent down to 1. If your opponent's at grade 3 or greater, we get that nice extra crit for the pressure. So with that ride line being done, let's get straight into the deck list. We're going to add 3 more copies of Drajeweled, just because with the new Drajeweled Masque effect, we want as many copies. We want to see as many Drajewelds because he does have the best effect out of all the other mask units. Get straight into that. So going on with the mask package, we have our 4 copies of Drajeweled Masque right here. So Drajeweled Masque ability, this card can only be written on a grade 3 Drajeweled, so that's why we had to run the regular Drajeweled. Activate skill, you remove a Drajeweled with a different name than this unit from your hand, soul, or drop, which is really nice. You get to choose 2 cards from your drop, add it to your soul, so it fixes the soul, fixes the numbers for you, and not only that, you get an extra crit. This doesn't restrict you with your opponent being grade 3, which is very, very nice. One downside with this card, I would say, is when it attacks, you have to counterblast 1, then you soul blast 4 different grades. Then you also get to retire 2 of your opponent's rear guard, and then set them to 1. So it's nice that we get a little bit of board clear for those nasty little intercepts. But we get to set them back down to 1. Again, the only downside, in my perspective, is that it is another counterblast unit for this deck. Going on to with the Mask. We run 3 copies of the Mask. Very, very, very good card. It's a normal order, 1 place, check top 5 for either a Dragon Tree or Mask in the card name. And then you reveal it as your hand, so we can either search for Drajeweled himself, which if you already don't have him, it's a great deck thinning. Once this card is in the drop, we get the effect. If you have a Vanguard without Mask, you reveal a Mask unit from your hand, you ride it. Then if you rode, put this card into your soul. If your opponent's Vanguard is grade 3, you activate Persona Ride. Great, great card. A lot of pluses, especially with Drajeweled, because you get the grade 3 to your soul if you already don't have one. And it's just a very, very strong card. It does hurt if you don't see this card and you don't have a mask in your hand. Going into grade 2s, I run 4 Rockagors. So great card also. Restanding rear guard when it attacks a grade 3. If you have 4 or more cards with different grades in the soul, you get 10,000 to the end of the turn. So you swing it first. Comes to 20k before Persona Ride, 30k with Persona Ride, which is very nice. When you were to Soul Blast 4 cards at the same time, cost of your Vanguard's ability, your opponent's grade 3 or greater, you get a counterblast 1 and restand. The one little downside, obviously, this deck is very hefty on the counterblast, so you got to keep that in mind. Jumping to the other grade 2s, unfortunately, we do not have the promos. We got to find alternatives. We have the new Dragon Tree Wretch Skull Kemda. On plays counterblast 1, soul blast 1. You get to search your deck. You get to place a Dragon Tree marker first. So we have some Dragon Tree markers. And then you search your deck for 1 mask, add it to your hand. If you already don't have it, it's a great card. If you already do have it, you got to think about whether you want to activate the skill, because it is counterblast heavy. With that, we have the new counter charger running at 2. When this unit attacks a Vanguard, when its unit attacks, if your Vanguard is Drajeweled in the card name, gains 2k, which is nice. And then end of the battle, if you soul blasted 4 or more cards at the same time the cost of your Vanguard's ability, you retire and counter charge it. Not too bad. Obviously, you always want to soul blast 4 and then get the counter charge if you can. Deck is very counterblast heavy. Going on to the grade 1 list. I personally, in dark sets, really like Zargon. Just because it has the boost ability, even though it gives you the unit in front of it on hit. It is scary, especially with Drajeweled being a very specific soul variant kind of deck. You want 4 different souls, or 4 different cards with different grades in the soul, obviously, to get the effect. And it applies a lot of pressure. Your opponent obviously does not want you to have your ability online every single time and every single turn, but if you can, this is a great card if you have 4 copies of it. I really do like Gungan Ram. 4 copies of Gungan Ram. On play, Soul Charge 1, great generic card. He does have the nice ability of Soul Blast 3 draw cards. So if you don't have, let's say, certain cards in your hand, like the mask, or you don't have a Drajeweled Masque, that's okay, because we can spare some soul, hopefully, and try to draw it. Or if you need a combo piece, like a Rockagor, you can also try to draw that. Having extra soul is not too bad. Some other grade 1s we have finals. The 3 copies of the PG. Obviously, great card. 2 or less cards in your hand. Free PG. Always nice. Elementaria, because we're not a grade 4 deck, we always want to run that Elementaria if you can have it. But 4 PGs is not too bad. Elementaria is obviously the best. Going into the trigger lineup, we have the OT Dark States. Hitting it early is the greatest feeling. Obviously, permanent 10k and a crit is very detrimental to your opponent. If we had the new Festival Collection, Restanding Rear Guards, that one wouldn't be too bad also, but I think the Dark State one is the best for this variant of the deck. We want to maximize on damage, so we're going to run not just 4 crits, we're also running 4 more crits, so we have 8 crits total. Trying to apply a lot of pressure, trying to finish the game early, and just seal the deal, especially when your opponent's at 1. It hurts. It already feels like you're already hitting a front trigger on them by sending them to 1. And we're going to finish it off with 3 draw triggers. And last but not least, we have 4 heals to round up all the triggers and everything like that. But yeah, so that's my variation of the Drajeweled deck list, mask variants. You can argue some people will try to run swirlers and other stuff like that, or run more copies of the counter charger because they're so aggressive with the counter blast. That's a personal preference, and it's up to you whether you want to do that or not. But sometimes you gotta pick wisely which abilities you want to use and everything like that. But yeah, if you guys have any suggestions or what other like special spicy techs that you're running in your Drajeweled list, comment down below. And thank you for tuning in to my deck profiles. So catch you guys later.